Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Netflix censoring movies to avoid triggering people.
Yeah, but they don't censor things like Cuties.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. There was massive backlash over Cuties, which triggered a lot of people because they thought it was a pretty raunchy thing to do, right? So Netflix had they lost a lot of subscribers over the Cuties debacle. And, they didn't feel the need to censor or pull Cuties in any way, even though some of the scenes are kind of lewd, right? But a couple months ago, we were talking about Back to the Future Part 2 being censored. They cut out the part with the Ooh La La magazine.
Yes.
And Netflix claimed it was a mistake, that they didn't cut it out, that they got somehow they got an altered copy of Back to the Future Part 2.
Oh yeah, it was censored for TV, supposedly.
Supposedly, but other things that would have been censored for TV
were not removed.
Were not censored. Just the Ooh La La book, which did not show any nudity or anything. It was a 50s style.
Right, but that was censored, but we still had Cuties in its complete entirety. Right.
So now there are more allegations that Netflix is deliberately censoring stuff that could potentially be triggering, except for Cuties. So we're going to talk about that. Before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We're over 162,000 subs.
Woo!
Thank you so much for the support, guys. It's appreciated. This year's been amazing for us, and we're hoping to go bigger and better next year.
Right. If you want to support, just like and comment and share and give us a follow.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much. Let's talk about this. Cuties, of course, a lot of backlash. They lost a lot of subscribers over it. There was like a lawsuit, which I don't know if it got tossed out or what, out of Texas because of the movie reportedly being that vulgar. And now there is talk that Netflix is editing other movies because they're triggering.
They still won't edit Cuties.
But they won't edit Cuties. So this is coming from Screen Rant, and Stephen Miller put this up. I was actually sent this link by BlackSageD on Twitter, so give him a follow. He actually posts a lot of really good stuff. But Screen Rant put an article up saying that Netflix cut a vital scene from the original Final Destination movie because apparently somebody hung themselves.
Oh, I never watched it.
And it was triggering. Netflix's ever-changing library often includes modern horror classic Final Destination, but longtime fans of the franchise will have noticed that one particular scene was cut from the iconic plane crash that kickstarts the movie's events, and a key scene foreshadows one of the characters' deaths well before it actually takes place, but the streaming giant has chosen to excise it, so they're going back and they're editing movies that could be problematic.
Well, what was the problem?
Netflix cut the scene where Todd mimics hanging himself from their version of Final Destination. So they're talking about, fate and destiny and yada, yada. When they board the plane, Todd's asked to switch seats with a fellow classmate. After he makes an excuse for why he can't, she asks Alex, who looks at Todd only to see him mimic the motion of hanging himself. Now, we can't do that. Look, there's been a lot of talk about hanging being controversial now because of events that happened over the summer, lynching and all of that. There was even talk in the Haunted Mansion at Disney that they were going to take the hanging ghost or corpse or whatever out of the stretching room.
Well, yeah.
Because it triggered people.
Yeah. But it's a Victorian house. It's not as bad as like the Disneyland version, which is a plantation.
Yeah, right. How are you going to fix that? You just change the whole facade. It's likely that Netflix cut this scene out due to its triggering contents.
But not the other... Okay, now the rest of the movie wasn't triggering for anyone?
Cuties isn't triggering anyone? So we're gonna cut out a guy mimicking hanging himself, but we're gonna keep all of Cuties, but we're gonna cut out a cheesecake magazine from the 1950s out of Back to the Future and say that was oopsie doopsie, it was an accident. But
so
this
what else
isn't
are they cutting?
I don't know. That's it. People don't know, and we're gonna talk about that because look, this is the problem with streaming services, and Disney's doing it too. They're putting the warnings up or whatever, but they can edit this content at any point in time. We saw this happen with Splash, where they digitally covered up, Daryl Hannah's butt with really bad CG hair. But
wait. Okay, if you don't know, they meant hair from her head.
Yes. Yeah, she didn't. But it didn't. It looked like she was wearing. It looked like she was wearing a hula skirt or something.
Yeah.
It didn't even look real.
It was hair from her head. It wasn't like, they covered her butt with hair. You better clarify.
Well, I'm telling you why they took this out, because they're talking about Netflix being held under a microscope since the first season of 13 Reasons Why, where the character killed themselves, which was entirely necessary to show the brutal depiction of suicide. I think they're trying to deter people from doing it. Like, hey, it's pretty messy usually. Since this release, Netflix has removed the scene from the episode due to viewer responses. Likely, they cut out Todd's mimicked hanging in order to avoid another controversy. What was a very brief scene, it could be triggering for viewers. No, I'm telling you.
So can life.
I'm telling you why they're doing it. It doesn't. I don't think it has. Personally, I don't think it has anything to do with 13 Reasons Why. I think it's because of lynching. And I think it's because of, everything that went down this summer. And because we're seeing other examples of, hanging or whatever being cut from movies.
Yeah.
And being talked about being cut from movies.
Well, I mean, just in general, the 13 Reasons Why thing, it's like, I haven't watched it. I'm not going to watch it. But I get why they put it in there, because they want to show like how this happens, and they want to show how it actually it impacts people and affects people. And I think their whole point was to try to stop people from doing it.
Yeah.
And so I think that the reason was for a good reason, but everybody has to sanitize everything so much now.
Yeah, and this is where it becomes a problem. Like I'm okay with them.
Watch it.
Yeah, putting trigger warnings on movies that are old movies. Okay. That's okay, whatever.
Some of it I think is dumb, but whatever.
People I think, goes overboard now. I think you can just say, look, this movie is like 30, 40 years old.
You're a Twitterite. You're probably going to be triggered. We'll put it on there for you, because mostly it's the people that are going to have a problem with it.
It's not a trigger warning. It's a Twitter warning.
It's a Twitter warning, yes.
Warning, this might trigger somebody on Twitter. This movie has been around for 20 years, I think, 20 years, Final Destination. Yeah, so I think it's because of lynching. I don't think it has anything to do with 13 Reasons Why. They're making excuses for it. I think they're going to go through and try to remove anything that could potentially trigger Twitter now, because I love how Twitter goes back and looks at these old movies they've never bothered watching before, just to see if they can find something that offends them.
Twitter
now.
gets triggered over anything. Like, the pickles in your burger represent something bad, or no, they didn't do that. I'm just saying, but it doesn't take anything. I painted my room this color. Well, that color's bad because it triggered me, because it reminded me of that time that I crapped my pants or something like that, or I wet myself yesterday and it's yellow, something like that.
Brown's a problem because who wore a brown shirt, don't you?
That's right.
It's like, oh my God.
Doesn't matter what you do. Twitter gets.
Yeah.
They go around looking for things. They do mental gymnastics to try to get upset about things. Meanwhile, things that are really things that should be worrisome or being upsetting, like the way they behave and how they go on about how people shouldn't, judge people as they judge everyone, goes on by. But if you paint something the wrong color, oh my God.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, and here we have Netflix. Look, right in their bio. Black Lives Matter, Black Stories Matter.
That's what they have their bio written as.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, the reason they cut the scene out is because of the lynching. I'm telling you, that's what it is. Don't make excuses for it. That's why they're doing it. So then I have to wonder, what other movies and shows are they going to find problematic? HBO was doing it though too. They took down Gone with the Wind. I don't know if it's been put back with. They said they were going to put a trigger warning on it. And again, I don't have a problem with that, because we know how pansy ass everybody is now.
But it's ridiculous. It's like, history happened, trigger warning.
I know,
the future's going to happen, trigger warning.
Oh my God, they need that. They need a history book, U.S. history book.
Trigger warning.
They probably
have that. They probably are starting to do it for coming up. Like, it's probably all on digital now, and they all have trigger warnings in the beginning. History's brutal. History sucks. Twitter warning.
History makes me sad. We shouldn't talk about it anymore.
They actually have had people say that.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't learn about why horrible, sad things happen throughout history. Things that are wrong and should never be repeated happen throughout history. The reason you teach history and you keep that story alive is so it doesn't happen again. The moment that you stop covering it, the moment you try to change it, the moment you try to sanitize for pussy-ass babies who can't understand, you don't want to deal with reality, is the moment it's going to happen again. So by you sitting there being like, no, it's horrible, I don't want to hear it, all you're doing is making the chance for things to happen again, happen again.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? And back in the day, kids that same age as people bitching about this stuff on Twitter were out there dying and fighting and doing all kinds of stuff and actual wars, and they had to grow their ass up. And now you got these kids on Twitter that are like 21 whining about how they don't want to learn about the Holocaust because it makes them sad inside.
Yeah, there were kids out there fighting for their country at 16, 17 years old, and it was sad because they would die and they would get, limbs blown off. And,
right. So grow the fuck up. Sorry, Mom. But you know what? Instead, you're out there making the word Nazi mean nothing by throwing it at everybody who doesn't agree with your opinion. It's like, you know what? Grow up. Stuff happened. It is what it is. We try not to repeat it. People like you are going to make it happen all over again because you're a bunch of babies.
Well said. You get a little clap.
Thank you.
I'm giving you a clap for that. So look, I think Netflix is going to do this. I think more of these streaming services are going to do this. We're seeing lots of examples of it. They got busted with Back to the Future. Mm-hmm. But how many other movies that maybe aren't, don't have such a rabid fan base? How many other movies are they quietly censoring? Without us knowing about it.
People need to catch it. If you catch it, you need to call it out.
There needs to be a website set.
I was thinking that. Somebody needs to have a website set that they can report this on.
Streamingcensorship.com or something, and just any examples of movies being altered. I think people have the right to know if the movie's been altered, because this is sort of like the modern day version of book banning.
It is, yeah. Or we're just going to destroy things we don't want to see.
Yeah.
And you all yell about the Yahtzees all the time, but then you behave just like them. So whatever.
Meanwhile, though, they defend Cuties to the death. Yeah. It's like, I don't get it. But here's another potential example. Now, this one's kind of frustrating. We were trying to figure out if this was legit or not. Somebody said on Twitter that they were not showing any results for Johnny Depp on Netflix. Now, it is possible that there just simply are no Johnny Depp movies, or no movies that have him listed. Like, I think they had Platoon on there, but he was a minor character in Platoon.
I never saw it, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's been years since I've sat through Platoon, and that probably would have been before he got big if he was in it. But we couldn't find any of the Johnny Depp movies. Now, a lot of them are Disney now, so they would be on Disney Plus, Pirates movies, etc. A lot of them are Warner Brothers, so they probably are on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. So it could just be a case of there are no Johnny Depp movies currently on Netflix, and they're not blocking the term Johnny Depp. I had searched for Rango, I couldn't find it. What other ones? We were kind of Benny and June. I was trying to find that, I couldn't find it.
You searched for several of these.
Yeah, and I couldn't find them on the
platform. It's
platform.
possible. We don't know. It could be that they're blocking. But I went, and the first thing I wanted to do was search Amber Heard. And you know what? You can find all kinds of Amber Heard movies.
Yeah.
And if it turns out they are blocking him, which may not be the case. It might just be they don't have any movies that he's in it on there. But if they are blocking him, I call shenanigans, because Amber Heard's accused of the exact same behavior that he's been accused of by other people, not just him. And why is she not blocked?
Yeah, so, look, do I think they got some activist types working over there at Netflix, going through movies, flagging movies that are potentially problematic, maybe shadow banning certain terms? Yeah, maybe. I can't say for sure, but clearly these streaming services, for whatever reason, numerous examples of them altering movies, you have to be aware that if you subscribe to these services and you're depending on digital to give you like the real deal, you're not going to get. The only way you're going to actually get the movie intact is to buy a physical copy of it.
Right, that has been unaltered. Sometimes they've altered them.
Yeah, they have. They're actually, you can go buy like a collector's edition of a movie, and that turns out that movie has had, well, look at Fantasia. You're not going to ever get the original version of Fantasia because they cut some parts out of it. Mm-hmm. They edited some scenes, You're never going to get it. It doesn't matter how much you pay for that Blu-ray, they're going to edit out some scenes in Fantasia because it's problematic. So, it is what it is. But just to make you guys aware, we thought it was a one-off with Back to the Future. It apparently is not.
I'm sure you're going to see more. But Cuties is still left untouched.
Left untouched.
Is it wrong to touch Cuties?
Oh, God. That's the problem. That is the problem. We're going to wrap this one up before we get ourselves into more trouble.
Yeah.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.